this is Amy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I do a purple floral design on this clear glass bottle. This is a Fireball bottle. I have washed it with soap and water, cleaned off the labels, and went over it with rubbing alcohol. It's ready to go. I am going to be using a round brush for this design. It's a number 12 Amagic round brush. And then I'm going to be using a number 10 Amagic flat brush. All these are long handle brushes for the Amagic brushes. And then a number 8 Deerfoot stippler for the center. The paint I'm using today is all FolkArt, combination of enamel and multi-surface paints. I am using forest moss. This is the first time I'm using my new camera, so bear with me here. Eggplant. Wicker white, it's a little glary there, school bus yellow, real brown, and thicket. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Basically what I'm going to do for the design, I'm going to start off by doing the green part of the design. I am going to be double loading my flat brush. Now I tip each side into the paint that I'm choosing. So on this I'm doing the forest moss and the thicket. Then I'm also going to take the side of the thicket part of the brush and putting that into brown. Then I'm going to go ahead and start with a vine design that I'm just kind of putting down just very lightly, and I will go back over it just to make sure that it's got good coverage, because I don't want it to scratch. And keep in mind, whenever you're doing glass, the thicker you apply the paint, within reason, now not too thick, especially if you're going to bake it because it'll bubble, that will give it more durability if you put a nice coat of it on. Glass paint is durable, especially if you do put it on a little bit thicker. However, I still recommend just handling it very nicely like you would fine china. And that means, if you don't know what that means just when you're washing it, hand wash it if you can. You can place it on the top rack of the dishwasher. However, I do recommend that you hand wash it whenever possible. If you have a dishwasher that is basically commercial grade, or it gets extremely hot, like a lot of the newer dishwashers do, those can actually cause the paint to peel off or melt, really. So you just want to be careful. You don't want your beautiful glassware to be destroyed by your dishwasher. Definitely never put it down in the bottom. Never, never, never. If you do, you will have it come off when you pull your piece out of the dishwasher. It will be gone. I'm talking about the paint, not the piece. Definitely. Now what I'm doing here is just putting some of these just very easy one stroke kind of leaves on the piece. And yeah, I mean, you can actually even dip this a little bit into the white if you want to try to make it a little bit white. Definitely has a tendency to make it a little bit more opaque. But if you want to give it a little bit of a different color, different look, I like my leaves a lot of times to not all look the same. If you feel like something's too light, feel like definitely going over it with another coat, feel free to do so. You can actually hit it with a heat gun, hair dryer. The only thing is when you're doing that, just make sure that you are just very careful, because the paint can be raised up off the glass. And it'll just come up with your brush strokes sometimes too, like what's happening here on this one. You just have to be careful. And do it like that, and then maybe even come out a little bit from here. But what I'm going to do next is go ahead and put the flowers on, the actual flower buds. On this piece, I'm not doing any different style of leaf. They're all going to be these little basically one pole leaves. And let's go ahead and start with the flower blooms. Alright, on this I'm just putting my whole round brush into the eggplant. Then I'm going to do the tip of it into the white, just like that. Then I'm going to come up here and start with just a little partially opened, or maybe you want to even consider it to be a bud. Go back in. Now I'm going over this wet on wet, so I may pull some green into it, which is fine. So I'm not worried about that too much. Just real easy. And if you're new to my channel, please understand that my channel is meant for easy designs, beginner painters, beginner glass painters, however you want to look at it. I mean, if you're already an experienced painter, of course you're welcome, but I would say you're probably not going to get a whole lot from my channel other than maybe some design ideas. Don't have to pull it all the way into the middle like I just did on this one. Okay. I am going to then come back down here, go ahead and do my next one. Didn't get much white on there. I'm going to do white here. Again, I'm just laying my brush down, pulling it back, laying it down, pulling it back. You can do longer strokes if you want. You can do shorter strokes. If you want to show movement, sometimes that's how you show it, is by the length of your petals. And I do have to kind of point out too that painting on glass is so much different than painting on paper or canvas. So you do need to keep that in mind. It's just not the same technique, same feel, very different. If you want a good surface to practice on, I highly recommend wax paper. Just for the fact that it gives a good comparison to a slippery surface like you're going to find when you're painting on glass. When you're looking at this, if you think anything needs to be gone over again, feel free to do it at this time, or give it some drying time and come back in and hit it again. Before you bake your glass, you do need to give it some dry time, about an hour before you actually go ahead and bake it. What I'm going to do on the centers is use my number 8 Deerfoot Stippler. Now my centers are wet still, so you're going to see this. If you want to not have to worry about gathering up some of the paint that you've just painted in your centers, then give it some drying time. I'm not too concerned about that, so I am just going over it. Now I do want to go back put a little bit of white. I'll just put that in the tip, just like that. I'm going to pounce it. I always, or most always, pounce before I put it on there, unless I really want it to be on there thick, then I don't do that. Or I might just do it very lightly, like I'm doing on here. I want these to be just kind of loose. I'm not intending for them to be nice and neat. I just put that in the wrong color. What I'm going to do around the back end of the brush is tip it into the eggplant and then just go lightly around it. Go back in here, come back around it, go back down like that. And you can work it to where, you know, once you get it to where you think you like it, if you want to give it some drying time and go back over it again, you can do that too. That's fine. I just like mine to be kind of loose looking. That's exactly what I'm going for. Alright, so here we go with this. I'm going to come back in with my greens. And I might even throw some yellow into it. What I'm going to do is come up here when I'm doing the little buds. They're partially open. I'm going to come in here, put a little bit of green in here. And I like it with a little bit of the purple. It's kind of fun too. Like that. You can always change, you know, turn your brush around, add some more. Go like that. And then if you want to keep working on it, say maybe that's not exactly the way you want it, or you want it to be a little bit thicker, and you can be working on it. But just be careful. Overwork it, it will cause the paint to come up. Alright, so then I'm going to come back here to this one, add a little bit of yellow in it, and finish it up down here. Now you could also tap in a center if you wanted to have it have maybe just a little bit of a center to it and be more of the front, but just partial petals. That would be fine too. And a smaller brush. I'm using a pretty big brush to do this with, so. And then even when you're doing this, you could just come down the stem a little bit if you wanted, just to finish it off like that. Come back up a little bit. So I say sometimes the paint just doesn't want to, definitely not like paper. And I'm going to come back here and do that up here too, I think. I like these little poles. I think I'm sure they have a more professional name than what I give them, but I just give them what comes to my head. Again, my concern is just making sure that it is thick enough. Alright, so then I'm going to come out here and just keep adding some more. Build up a little bit. Now, you can also do, when you're doing these, you can do like a quick little pull here. And I think I have one right there. I'm going to do it, fill it up a little bit here. And then I kind of like sometimes just to come out from these pieces and just do more of like just a little wiggly branch kind of thing that comes out with it. Just, I don't know, just to give it some more interest. If you don't want to do this part, that's fine. It's not something that you have to. If you want to do it with a smaller brush, that's great too. Now on this type of a bottle, I typically would do the back as well. I like these bottles, this style of bottle with lights in it too. I think they're very pretty. Now also too, when you're painting, if you find yourself getting into too much paint on a brush, always feel free to wipe it off. You do not have to work with too much paint. Some people love having a lot of paint on their brush. I just don't find myself being one that does. Kind of bothers me. Alright, so let's see here. Do we need to do anything else? I'm going to come down here with another. A lot of times too, if you do different colors of leaves, different shades, anything you do that's different gives it more interest. And I hope you bear with me. Again, this is my first time using my new camera. I'm hoping that you're getting a lot of what I'm saying and getting the video. We'll see here soon if I have to redo it. I hope not. But very quick and easy, as you can see. And if you want to put other leaves into it, you can. But I'm going to leave it like this. I like it. I think it's very pretty. I hope you do too. If you do, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. Thanks again for your patience with my video. And stay safe and healthy if you can out there. I hope you will stop back by. If you have time, stick around. Share this video on your social network with all your family and friends. And subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. And until the next time, you have a good one.